Three's a Crowd tells the age-old story of a man who believes his wife is unfaithful and what he would do to get back at her. Directed by David Burton Morris, written by Morris, Kim Kettleson, and Annie Willett, and shot by Jack Wallner. Based on a story from Shock Suspense Stories number 11. This is the kind of story where you know exactly how it will end from the very first frame, but is still entertaining. Alan feels his wife, Della, has been acting distant. Lucky for him, she has the two of them going up to their cabin for the weekend. The perfect opportunity to reconnect for their anniversary that Sunday. But unlucky for him, she also invites their best friend, Andy. In the show, it's the couple's friend, Alan, who invites them to a weekend trip at his cabin as an anniversary present. Richard feels belittled by Alan. Della spends all day shopping with Alan, who buys her an expensive new coat. Richard feels this is a vulgar display of Alan's success. It tears him up inside. He feels like he's losing Della and is ashamed he hasn't been able to give her any children. She comforts him, but then brushes him off to take a phone call from Alan.
Don't answer it.
It's probably Alan. I told him to call.
Let it ring, Della.
Let
it ring.
Andy shows up on Friday to pick up Alan and Della. Alan prefers to drive, as the mountain roads to the cabin are dangerous. But Andy has a new convertible he wants to show off. And boy, does he show off his top-of-the-line new car, complete with a car phone. After traversing the treacherous terrain and crossing the bridge at the bottom of the steep mountain road, they make it to the cabin. Alan offers to take Andy and Della's bags out of the trunk, but a startled Della refuses. She turns pale as Alan looks to her. Andy claims the trunk doesn't open as it contains the chassis for the car phone. Della remains quiet towards her husband and only shows concern for Andy. She suggests they all go to bed early and take the boat out first thing in the morning. As they arrive at the cabin in the TV show, Alan promises an anniversary they will never forget.
Did those packages I had sent from the mainland arrive?
Si, senor. They arrived this morning.
Good. Then we're all set.
What packages?
Supplies, food, booze, drugs. I'm gonna give you an anniversary you'll never forget. Mi casa es su casa.
Richard sulks during their stay as Della and Alan enjoy themselves. Maybe a little too much in Richard's eyes. Richard wakes up in the middle of the night and eavesdrops on Della and Alan.
It's just been so hard not telling him.
It'll be all over tomorrow. He'll know. Are you cold?
Yeah, a little. It's the wind.
You should have let me buy you that fur.
That night, Alan awakens from a dream of Della kissing Andy. Sneaking outside the guest cabin, he hears the two whispering about how he has no idea what is going on. Della has wanted to tell him everything, and on Sunday, he will finally know the truth. This confirms Alan's suspicions of Della cheating on him. Filled with hatred, he staggers past Andy's car. The trunk is open and empty. Certainly, it was filled with everything Andy has bought for Della throughout their affair. Richard searches the cabin and finds all the things Alan has been buying his wife. He knows they're having an affair in the guest cabin. He wants to see, but Alan's assistant says he's supposed to keep him away. Della and Alan come in, and things do not go well.
Till death do us part. You remember that bit, do you, baby? Do you?
You are an incredible asshole, Richard.
He is convinced that Della is going to leave him.
I'm the asshole! You're the one who's fucking my wife!
Alan lays in bed, plotting their murder. In the morning, he will capsize the boat after knocking both of them out, leaving them to drown. Morning comes, and he doesn't have the guts to go through with his plan. It begins to rain while they're out on the water. They make it back to the cabin completely soaked and chilled to the bone. The storm rages all afternoon. That night, the phone rings at the cabin. Alan answers. The bridge at the bottom of the mountain road has been washed out. The bridge you can't see until you're just about to cross. It would mean certain death for anyone who tries to drive into town. Alan has a plan. He informs Andy that every Sunday morning he goes into town to buy fresh rolls for breakfast. He doesn't expect Andy to let him drive his new car. Andy is happy to drive into town for him. Next, he suggests to Della to go with Andy to show him where to go. That night, Alan pretends to sleep as Della and Andy go back to the guest cottage. He can feel a cold coming on as his throat begins to itch. Morning comes, Andy and Della head out. Alan watches them drive off towards their doom. He becomes curious about the guest cottage. He wants to witness the scene of his wife's infidelity. He kicks the door open and can't believe his eyes. Della was going to surprise him with the news that she is pregnant, her anniversary present to him. Andy had been helping her plan the reveal the whole time. All the things he bought for Della had been things to help with the baby. Alan was wrong. He rushes for the phone. His only hope to save his wife, his baby, and their friend is to call Andy's car phone. The operator asks for the number, but Alan is unable to speak. He has come down with a bad case of laryngitis. That night, Alan comes to Richard. There's a surprise for him in the guest cabin. Richard has a surprise for Alan as well.
Another tour for your wall, amigo.
Some time has passed, and now Della comes to fetch both Richard and Alan. Richard approaches her wearing the coat Alan had bought for her. She asks where Alan is.
Where's Alan?
He's hanging around here somewhere. Happy anniversary, baby.
Della runs from her now psychotic husband and even resorts to jumping out a window to get away.
Come here and get your present, baby.
But it's not enough. Richard catches up to her and strangles her to death. He drags her dead body to the guest cabin, the scene of her affair, only to be greeted by the shout of surprise from all his friends and family. Della was going to surprise him with the news of her pregnancy. Three's a Crowd isn't a bad story at all, but it is interesting to see how both the show and the comic do certain things better than the other. I felt the comic did a better job at showing the progression of the husband's feelings, from suspicious to murderous. The artwork shows his thought process behind his murderous plans. This creates a more intricate leading man for the story. However, the show makes his wife and friend less oblivious. They see he's acting strange and react to this.
And this trip you so righteously offered us. You know, if it hadn't been for your generosity, Della and I'd be curled up right now in some cheap motel in Tucson working on that kid again. The well's run dry. Hasn't it, baby?
Richard, please don't do this. You promised.
No, you promised!
Their kills are also very hands-on, which I appreciate as a horror fan. Plus, the final kicker at the end of him bringing his wife's corpse to a party is such a twisted final image, especially compared to what is arguably the most unlucky case of sore throat in horror history. Watch this episode with your significant other and a friend.